An onomatopoeia, from the Greek a 1/2 euro I 1/2 I 1/4 I plus or minus I euro I to the first I plus or minus. A 1/2 I 1/2 I 1/4 I plus or minus for name, and I euro I to the first I per mil for I make. Adjectival form, onomatopoeic, or onomatopoetic is a word that phonetically imitates, resembles or suggests the source of the sound that it describes. Onomatopoeia refers to the property of such words. Common occurrences of onomatopoeias include animal noises such as oink, meow, roar, or chirp. Onomatopoeias are not the same across all languages. They conform to some extent to the broader linguistic system they are part of. Hence the sound of a clock may be tick-tock in English, da-da in Mandarin, or katchin in Japanese. Although in the English language the term onomatopoeia means the imitation of a sound, in the Greek language the compound word onomatopoeia means making or creating names. For words that imitate sounds the term I 1/4 I to the first I 1/4 I to the first I was used. I 1/4 I to the first I 1/4 I to the first I from I meaning echo or sound, and I 1/4 I to the first I 1/4 I to the first I meaning mimetic or imitation. Cross-linguistic examples. Uses of onomatopoeia. In the case of a frog croaking, the spelling may vary because different frog species around the world make different sounds. Ancient Greek brekex cokes for probably marsh frogs. English ribbit for species of frog found in North America. English verb croak for the common frog. Some other very common English language examples include hiccup, zoom, bang, beep, moo, and splash. Machines and their sounds are also often described with onomatopoeia, as in honk or beep beep for the horn of an automobile, and vroom or brum for the engine. When someone speaks of a mishap involving an audible arcing of electricity, the word zap is often used. For animal sounds, words like quack, moo, bark or woof, roar, meow meow or purr, cluck and baw are typically used in English. Some of these words are used both as nouns and as verbs. Some languages flexibly integrate onomatopoeic words into their structure. This may evolve into a new word, up to the point that it is no longer recognized as onomatopoeia. One example is English bleat for the sheep noise. In medieval times it was pronounced approximately as blet, or blet with a vowel drawled, which is much more accurate as onomatopoeia than the modern pronunciation. An example of the opposite case is cuckoo, which, due to continuous familiarity with the bird noise down the centuries, has kept approximately the same pronunciation as in Anglo-Saxon times and its vowels have not changed as they have in the word furrow. Verbidicendi are a method of integrating onomatopoeia and ideophones into grammar. Sometimes things are named from the sounds they make. In English, for example, there is the universal fastener which is named for the onomatopoeic of the sound it makes, the zip or zipper. Many birds are named after their calls, such as the bobwhite quail, the wero, the meepork, the killdeer, chickadee, the cuckoo, the chiffchaff, the whooping crane and the whippoorwill. In Tamil and Malayalam, the word for crow is korka. This practice is especially common in certain languages such as Maori and, therefore, in names of animals borrowed from these languages. Cross-cultural differences. Although a particular sound is heard similarly by people of different cultures, it is often expressed through the use of different consonant strings in different languages. For example, the snip of a pair of scissors is su-su in Chinese, cri-cri in Italian, rikai-rikai in Spanish, tear-tear or trek-trek in Portuguese, crits-crits in modern Greek and kate-kate in Hindi. Similarly, the honk of a car's horn is bar-bar in Chinese, tut-tut in French, poo-poo in Japanese, bbang in Korean, bet in Norwegian, fom in Portuguese and bim in Vietnamese. Onomatopoeic effect. Without onomatopoeia words, onomatopoeic effect can also be produced in a phrase or word string with the help of alliteration and consonants alone, without using any onomatopoeic words. The most famous example is the phrase furrow followed free in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It may be noted that the words followed and free are not onomatopoeic in themselves, but in conjunction with furrow, they reproduce the sound of ripples following in the wake of a speeding ship. Similarly, alliteration has been used in the line as the surf surged up the sun-swept shore. To recreate the sound of breaking waves, in the poem I, She and the Sea. Comics and advertising, comic strips and comic books made extensive use of onomatopoeia. Popular culture historian Tim DeForest noted the impact of writer-artist Roy Crane, the creator of Captain Easy and Booze Sawyer. It was Crane who pioneered the use of onomatopoeic sound effects in comics, adding bam, pow, and wham to what had previously been an almost entirely visual vocabulary. Crane had fun with this, tossing in an occasional care splash, or lickety-wop along with what would become the more standard effects. Words as well as images became vehicles for carrying along his increasingly fast-paced storylines. In 2002, DC Comics introduced a villain named Onomatopoeia, an athlete, martial artist and weapons expert who often speaks sounds. Advertising uses onomatopoeia as a mnemonic, so consumers will remember their products, as in Alka-Seltzer's plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Jingle, recorded in 2 different versions by Sammy Davis, Jr. Rice Krispies and Rice Bubbles make a snap, crackle, pop, when one pours on milk. During the 1930s, the illustrator Vernon Grant developed Snap, Crackle and Pop as gnome-like mascots for the Kellogg Company. Sounds surface in road safety advertisements, clunk-click, every trip, or click, clack, front and back, or click it or ticket. Manner imitation. In many of the world's languages, onomatopoeia-like words are used to describe phenomena apart from the purely auditive. Japanese often utilizes such words to describe feelings or figurative expressions about objects or concepts. For instance, Japanese beribara is used to reflect an object's state of disarray or separation, and shiren is the onomatopoetic form of absolute silence. It is used in English as well with terms like bling, which describes the glinting of light on things like gold, chrome or precious stones. In Japanese, kirakira is used for glittery things. Examples in media, James Joyce in Ulysses coined the onomatopoeic tat-tat-rat for a knock on the door. It is listed as the longest palindromic word in the Oxford English Dictionary. Harm by Royal Lichtenstein is an early example of pop art, featuring a reproduction of comic book art that depicts a fighter aircraft striking another with rockets with dazzling red and yellow explosions. Marvel Comics has trademarked 2 words of their own invention, thwip, the sound of Spider-Man's web shooter, and snicked, the switchblade sound of Wolverine's claws coming out of his hands. In the Garfield comic strip and television series, there is a running gag about a splat, which is usually the sound of a pie hitting someone in the face. In the 1960s TV series Batman, comic book-style onomatopoeias such as wham, pow, biff, crunch and zoons appear on screen during fight scenes. This is often the subject of parody, for example in The Simpsons episode Radioactive Man, where the onomatopoeic words are replaced with snew, newt, and mint, which are references to other Simpsons episodes. Ubisoft's 13 employed the use of comic book onomatopoeias such as bam, boom and noun during gameplay for gunshots, explosions and kills, respectively. The comic book style is apparent throughout the game and is a core theme, and the game is an adaptation of a comic book of the same name. In Book 4 of Jonathan Swift's novel Gulliver's Travels, the name of the Houyhnhnms is an onomatopoeia for the whinny of a horse. The chorus of American popular songwriter John Prine's song Onomatopoeia cleverly incorporates onomatopoeic words, bang, went the pistol, crash, went the window, ouch, went the son of a gun. Onomatopoeia I don't wanna see you speaking in a foreign tongue. A well-known rhetorical question is, why doesn't onomatopoeia sound like what it is? Ian M. Banks references this in his novel Against a Dark Background, when a character claims that the word onomatopoeia is spelled just the way it sounds. The marble game Kerplunk is an onomatopoeia for the sound of the marbles dropping when one too many sticks has been removed. The Nickelodeon cartoon Kablam is implied to be onomatopoeic to a crash. In a 2002 episode of The West Wing, Rob Lowe and Ian McShane have a conversation about how the word Trumpy onomatopoetically sounds right. Each episode of the TV series Harper's Island are given an onomatopoeic name which imitates the sound made in that episode when a character dies. For example, in the episode titled Bang, a character is shot and fatally wounded, with the bang mimicking the sound of the gunshot. In the Transformers, the Autobot Warpath speaks with onomatopoeia in his speech, which includes wham, bang, blam, whack, whoosh, bam, zoom, zap, boom, wow, clang, pow, and boing. See also, anguish languish, list of animal sounds, list of onomatopoeias, sound symbolism, Japanese sound symbolism. Vocal learning, sound mimesis in various cultures, references, notes. General references, Crystal, David. The Cambridge Encyclopedia of Language. Cambridge University Press. ISBN A0-521-55967-7 Smith, Herbert Weir. Greek Grammar. Cambridge MA, Harvard University Press. PA 680. ISBN A0-674-36250-0. External links, Derek Abbott's Animal Noise page, over 300 examples of onomatopoeia, BBC Radio 4 show discussing animal noises, tutorial on drawing onomatopoeia for comics and cartoons, written sound, onomatopoeic word list, examples of onomatopoeia.